We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are conducting life-changing research that solves the problems of today. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
Welcome to the POMcast with Stephen Willis. Now we're going to do things a little different. We are going to provide an honest look at Ole Miss athletics for the fan, by the fan, and of the fan. That is what we do. Hell be to me. I'm just kidding. Tune in for some Ole Miss sports news. We're going to give it to you straight. Yeah, right now. The POMcast starts now. It happens now. Holy cow. Listen to me. It's starting. Well, it's going to start right about now. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to this Monday morning edition of the POMcast. I am your host, Stephen Willis. Thank you very much for joining us. Sorry about that. Today we're going to go over the two commits that we got over the weekend. Got some video, got some links down there to where you can dive deeper into seeing exactly what they're all about. And in the second part of the show, we're going to talk to Jake Thomas from, I think it's the Tide Sports podcast. I forget the name of it. I apologize for that, Jake. But they're going to come on and talk about a preview of all things Alabama Crimson Tide. Thank you very much for joining us. The Vault Society, do want to tell you about that before tomorrow. It's the major push for the Ole Miss Athletics Foundation. It's a 5-year commitment of support, minimum of $5,000 a year, and there's a benefit information on the site. We're going to give you that in just a second. Basically, the way the points are set up, you can get triple points until June 30th. That is 2 days away, the deadline for that. Different points allow you to do different things. You can catch that information on the site at give2athletics.com. Again, that is give2athletics.com. That's not bad to go through that whole read real quick without it in front of me because technology being technology and all about that. Anyway, if you want to watch the show, you can catch us on Twitter at The Stephen Willis or at The Rebel Walk. You can catch us on Facebook at facebook.com/POMcast, POMcast. Follow us. We'd appreciate it. Hit like. We're also on The Rebel Walk. You can follow us and hit like there as well. And you'll always know when we're streaming because notifications go out on Facebook too that I just actually found out about because I've been living under a rock. You can follow us on Facebook, subscribe, hit the bell. You'll not only know that we're streaming, you'll know what we're streaming about. And you can decide whether it's something that interests you. Also on YouTube, thank you very much. We're up to 80 subscribers. We've gained 22 over the last month, so thank you very much for that. And we're also on Twitch, and that's Positively Ole Miss, one word. It's just one word, Positively Ole Miss. And you follow that, and you check out what's going on. All of these are available on your television, by the way, as well. Let's see. I actually it's hard to see it at the moment, but you can just download the app on your smart TV. That'd be either Facebook Live or YouTube or Twitch. Log in to your account that you're subscribed to this program or liking this program or following this program, depending on which one you do. It'd be like liking on Facebook, subscribing on YouTube, following on Twitch. Once you do that, once you log in to Twitch, all of your information and subscriptions will show up. And you'll be able to watch the show on the smart TV, which is, kind of the whole point. So we're available on all devices, all the way down as small as your phone, all the way as big as your 85-inch television. And you can actually, on those big TVs, you can read all that stuff. There's a program back there from like 1951 against Tennessee or something like that. We got Deuce McAllister. We got the Off With Their Heads placard. Eli. And there's even a picture of me back there, believe it or not. So thank you for joining us. If the podcast is more your thing, catch us on pod at let's see, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and Pandora. We're also on smaller podcatchers, but it would take all day if they were to be named. So that kind of handles that. Oh, also, positivelyolemiss at gmail.com. Positivelyolemiss at gmail.com. Our sales team will be swinging by Oxford. If you are interested in the sales team showing up to your business to let you know what's going on, let us know. That's positivelyolemiss at gmail.com, or you can hit them up at the Rebel Walk as well. But the sales team should be in town come July. So we've gotten a little bit of feedback on that. So letting you know, this is kind of kicking off and starting in earnest. So they should be there. We're up somewhere in the neighborhood of like 1,400 views per video. Doesn't matter what goes up. I mean, that's the number that hits. And if our subject matter that we're talking about dips us on one level, like let's say hypothetically the Facebook Rebel Walk page, the views go down on there. This picked back up on Twitter or YouTube or Positively Ole Miss Facebook, or the view count is remarkably consistent. And that is a very good thing. That's kind of the point whenever I imagine this social media type media channel that just goes to you instead of you having to find it. Like I said, we'll never ask you for money and never ask you to go to a second location. That's kind of our whole thing. And so we come to you. If you like watching on Twitter, we're on Twitter. If you like you're already going to YouTube, we're on YouTube. So it's all available for you. And thank you very much for watching. And the people that on the podcast listening, we set a new all-time record for a month over the weekend. A little bit, we had like 2 or 3 days with a little bit of technological glitch, or we would have broke it like a week early. Which we have been doing pretty consistently through all of this. So we thank you for that. But we're not even advertising the podcast. We're just putting it on there so you can have it in your car. You can listen to the videos wherever you're going and still have that. But we want you to watch the videos coming on. Mainly because when you have a podcast, this is kind of a little bit of inside baseball. If you have a podcast and you're selling ads for it, your penetration rate, you might say you have, let's say, 10,000 views. The reality is of that, 1/25th or 1/30th is about what's actually happened, because a podcast is made to be skipped past ads. And everybody does it. You do it. You know it whenever you go into a podcast. You just skip past the ads. You don't even know what they're saying, and everything's going on. There's some loyal people that will do that. I mean, I'm sure that's the reason it's 1/35th. 1/30th, But if you have 900 views, you are probably closer to 30 people that is actually going to that ad. And they're buying ads off of that number. Just because it's so easy to skip commercials. It's like the TiVo. So if you're doing commercials on podcasts, that kind of bites you in the butt. So we want to do this way and focus on this for that reason. Your advertising dollars can go so much further, and you know what they say, you can't put a logo on audio, and that's one thing. And the reason we've decided to build this up this way, we're not going to ask general users. The content will always be free. This is going to be the good stuff, but we would like to keep the lights on a little bit. And to do that, we're going to have to sell ads. So we're going to do things like a title sponsor of the podcast, your business POMcast, or POMcast presented by so-and-so. We're going to do the guest line thing. We're going to put logos on the waiting screen that you see at the beginning of it. That has been refit to get ready for that. We've also set up a waiting screen for the middle while the ad breaks are going on. We're going to sell actually if they have commercials, we will gladly play it, like the Ole Miss commercial in the beginning. It is beneficial to advertisers, and maybe this is inside baseball, maybe I'm talking out of turn a little bit, to get that logo. That logo is probably the most valuable thing on the podcast because it auto plays from the beginning, and that logo will be up no matter whether you listen to the podcast or not. So it's just showing up on Facebook when they're scrolling by, your logo is going to be seen. So that's going to be really cool. My Labrador just came in here, so if you see him, be as good as you can be. All right, but let's see. Let's get this changed real quick because I want to give you guys a little bit of a preview of the recruiting show. And there it is. There it is. Taylor Groves committed. He's from East Robinson High in Nashville, or Cross Plains, Tennessee. That's a little bit north, in between like 65 and 24, if you're familiar with Tennessee geography. I am, because I lived there for 12 years. But he's a good player. It's like there we go. Sorry about that. Forgot to change these real quick. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this player. He's a long strider. He really is. And because of that, I just don't know if he's going to end up on the defensive side of the ball. He's such a weapon as the offensive people. You can see the strength of his hands. I was talking during all of that and didn't realize nothing was going out, but we got it fixed. I am the type person, I'm an offensive person by nature. And I assume that most players are going to end up on the offensive side of the ball. And this is another player that I assume is going to end up on the offensive side of the ball. Though I can see him playing like a star type position. He's a one-on-one winner. He's a person that if you line up, he's going to maybe play some free safety. He's that type of player. His ball skills, though, are tremendous. Next level. Now, against the teams that we play defensively, you can see that, ball skills would be greatly appreciated. Now, the other one is Reginald Hughes right here. And if you look at Reginald, you can see the one thing that comes out, he's a very quick twitch player. He's a very quick player, which when it comes to linebackers has been a deficit of ours for several years. And, that's fine. That's the 4-3 to 3-4, going from one system to another. Each player requires certain things. The Mike McIntyre that recruited those linebackers, they're required to go A gap and B gap and C gap fairly close to the line of scrimmage. Now, the linebackers now are required at times to go sideline to sideline. He's a guy that is quick enough to do that. He's also 6'2" and 230. And very good first step. Very tough player. He's kind of a linebacker. He's from Rosa Fort, Mississippi, over there by Tunica, up in the Delta. And he's just a legit player, honestly. He's not ranked at the moment. Taylor Groves is a 4-star. We have a 4-star wide receiver, Marcel Dortch. We'll probably do a video on him at some point in the future too, as well as I think his name's Larry Simmons. But we're up to 4 commits, and what people need to realize is that we don't really go for early commitments. This is not something. We only sign 15 to 18 per year because of the transfer portal and what's going on. So there's going to always be players coming in. You're going to see us sign 15 to 18 a year, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, who knows. But because of that, early commitments are not really a thing. These mid-level, low-level 3-stars that show out in camp, you don't have to get them locked in now. You can wait on those. They can go to Southern Miss and you can pick them off the roster. So that is what we're looking at. You got Taylor Groves. I really like him as a wide receiver. I can see where he would fit at like star and free safety. Those two players. He's actually a physical defensive back. You didn't really see it on those highlights, but he's a person that genuinely likes contact. And when that happens, you can see the defensive side of the ball, but his offensive ball skills and his one-on-one winning ability might be too much to pass up on when it comes to a position on the field. Reginald Hughes is very quick twitch. He won't be a middle linebacker at Ole Miss, but he'll probably be the other linebacker, and kind of be the more athletic linebacker, kind of be the Rory Johnson per se of the linebacker corps, because he's very athletic, and he's obviously a kid that really showed out at camp, because he would not have this offer and the ability to do this even from East Mississippi without showing out at camp, because camps are very important for this. People don't realize, for people in the Pete Carroll tree, and that would include Lane Kiffin, that would also include Ed Orgeron, which is where I base my knowledge from, my time there. Camps are extremely important. To see players doing your stuff, you can determine whether they would fit in your system. You cannot necessarily glean that from a film of a kid running a wing T in high school. It's important to get them on campus. It's important to get them doing your stuff. See how they react to one-on-ones. See how they look when it comes to 7-on-7 if they're a defensive back. See what they look like in pass rush if they're a lineman or a defensive lineman. That's the situation. We're going to take a real quick break, and I do mean it's going to be a real quick break. And when we come back, we are going to have Jake Thomas. And I'm not going to come back. This is a pre-recorded interview, but we'll be back tomorrow and talking all about that. All right. Howdy toddy. All right, we continue our SEC previews with Alabama. Jake Thomas is here to talk all about the Tide and everything's going on for their poor, pitiful seasons that they've been having for the last decade, and we should just all feel sorry for them. How you doing, Jake?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem at all. Tell me, with so many new players coming into important skill positions on offense, how that's actually affecting the team.
We lost a lot of talent on the offensive side last year. I mean, we had the Heisman Trophy winner. You also had a great quarterback in Matt Jones, and you had Najee Harris, who is probably the best running back in the conference, as we saw. So I mean, you got a lot of guys to replace. Also, we're having to replace three offensive linemen. So yeah, it's been a challenge. You saw a little bit in the spring game. There was some issues early offensively on the offensive line about communication. I have a feeling it'll probably take a few games in the regular season to get that straightened up. But overall, we're still good talent wise. No offense, but Alabama is five deep everywhere, it seems like. So yeah, we lost a lot of great players, but we also have great players to step back up in those positions.
All right. Looking at the wide receiver position, you've lost four great ones that went to the NFL. They're going to do great things.
Mm-hmm.
Who are the guys that we need to look at that position right now?
Oh man, the big guy, of course, is John Mechie. He's pretty much a returning starter from last year, and if everybody remembers what he did to that poor line or defensive guy from Florida in the championship game, just lit him up. So he's returning, and a guy that caught a lot of people's eyes in the spring game was I cannot think of his name. I cannot think of it off the top of my head. But yeah, he's a incoming freshman to look out for. But also we still got Slade Bolden, so there's still talent there and guys to make the big plays. And also would not be surprised to see Jaleel Billingsley a lot get out in the slot because he is slated at tight end, but he can run slot and he's a pretty quick guy to put out there as well.
All right, new change at offensive coordinator. Any concern with the pro system coming into college after leaving Lane Kiffin and Steve Sarkisian in the past?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a change for sure. It's a welcome change, I would say. My biggest question throughout this whole new getting Duvall, what's his name?
O'Brien.
The new O'Brien. Yeah, I was thinking about Duvall. Used to be there for years, but O'Brien, get him in. Can he? I know he's recruited well, but can he recruit in the Southeast? And can he bring these players in that Steve Sarkisian and Lane has brought in for us? So the change is going to be different. You still going to see a lot of passing, I believe, but it's going to be a little bit more run heavy, I think, than it has been the past couple of years.
Speaking of which, that's a nice transition. Brian Robinson finally gets the keys after being behind Najee Harris. What does he bring to the table? What type of a back is he?
What I love about Brian Robinson is when he got his opportunity last year, he made the most of it, and he pretty much ran guys over. And he reminds me a little bit of what Derrick Henry did about running people over. So I think he'll be fine. I'm more interested in Jace McClellan, to be honest. He showed a lot last year with us. So I think the running back game is still going to be there for Alabama. Brian Robinson finally gets his chance to get his moment, but Jace is right there, and he's going to be pushing him all year.
Okay. Let's go over to the defensive side of the ball. Traditionally, Alabama has been a defensive stalwart, but with the advent of Lane and Steve Sarkisian, Saban has taken his thumb a little bit off of the offense and allowed them to give up points defensively. How are they looking this year? Is it going to be a return to form, or are they going to struggle again?
I think they're going to be better than the 2012 team defensively. Just for the fact that look at the talent that they have spread around the field. You have arguably one of the best linebackers in the game right now in Christian Harris. You also have standout from last year, Will Anderson on the end as well. In the back, the secondary, you also have Malachi Moore, who showed up big in the star last year. The only concern for me is who's going to take over that corner spot. Joe moves in to number one corner. Can he be the next Patrick Surtain and be a lockdown corner? Maybe, maybe not. It remains to be seen. He's very talented, but it remains to be seen. But who's going to take that second spot where he was at last year? Will that be Kool-Aid McKinstry? That's the question, biggest question for me on defense this year.
All right, and this year, is this the year where a Saban disciple finally gets him?
Whew! There's a lot of talk. I'm going to be honest. The guy you got wearing on your shirt, I believe, would be the first one to get him. Will it be this year? I'm not sure. He gave us a run last year. I'm not exactly how the schedule's setting up, but like I said, it's going to take a couple games for Alabama offensively to get rolling. That's why I think they're going to be heavily dependent on the defense. There's a lot of talent on the offensive side, but it's going to take a couple games for them to get going. So we might have a slip up, to Ole Miss, and Lane might get him. But this, I believe, before Saban retires, he will slip up, and one of his proteges will pass him, and I really think it's going to be Lane.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, but what's going on at Texas A&M? Jimbo could sneak up this year or the year after with the program that he's building right now. Speaking of other teams in the SEC, what are some storylines that you're looking at around the league?
You said it best. Texas A&M, can they make that next step? Jimbo seems like he's been right there, but he cannot beat Alabama to get to the SEC championship game. So that's one of the biggest things this year to me, especially too, is on the East. Georgia, can Kirby make that next step? They got a lot of talent. And this is the year for him to pretty much win the SEC and run the table, get the championship. It's going to be interesting to see if he can do that. You got a lot of new coaches coming in down at Auburn. We'll see how Harpson does his first year. But there's a lot going right for a lot of teams in the conference, and I'm glad to see that. I'm a big Alabama fan, but I'm an SEC fan too, so I like to see everybody do good.
Yeah, and especially with Georgia, it's going to be interesting to see if Kirby can take that step of taking his thumb off the offense and letting them go, because they do have the athletes and the potential to be great. I think Florida, if Dan Mullen doesn't try to insert a square peg in a round hole and run Kyle Trask's offense with Emory Jones and goes back to the Nick Fitzgerald stuff that he did at Mississippi State, I think that offense could be pretty dynamic. I want to see what kind of transition from Gus Malzahn to Brian Harsin, and what does that look at personnel-wise, and that schedule at Arkansas. Have you seen their schedule?
That's rough.
That's absolutely nuts. They won 3 games last year. They might not win three games this year. So, I mean, we got a bunch of interesting stories around the league.
Absolutely, and the SEC is the best league in college football right now. There's no question about it. Talent wise and coaching proteges there everywhere. It's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. And let's see. New coach at South Carolina, new coach at Auburn, new coach at Vanderbilt. I'm interested in Clark Lee.
Tennessee's got a new coach.
Yeah, Tennessee's got a new coach, which half of their team transferred away, so they're gonna have problems this year regardless.
Right.
But they're going to lose games 55-48 or something like that. Some ridiculous thing. That's just the hype away. Yep. I'm interested in Kentucky because they're doing a system change on offense with that defense. What they will look like.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kentucky's another team that's been right there that just cannot beat Georgia or Florida to make that next step into the SEC championship game. So, I really love their head coach. I've been a fan of his for years since he's been up there. But he's got to win. Take that next step and win against Georgia and Florida to get to the championship game.
How concerned are you opening up with Miami?
I am a little bit, just because we got so many new players offensively. I think they bring King back, which is huge for them. But defensively, like I said, we're set. We're going to have to rely on the defense starting out. But offensively, it's going to be a little while. I think maybe 3 or 4 games to get settled. But I still think we still win that game by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, Miami's almost there.
Mm-hmm.
They probably need a little more seasoning.
Yeah.
To get up the list with Clemson. I think Clemson's set up to drop down a little bit. I know they have Ukulele, which, yay, how about that?
Good job.
Yeah, and they have some guy, but I think losing Etienne is going to really hurt them because I don't think they realize how important he was to even Trevor Lawrence. Everything flowed through Etienne.
Oh, absolutely. And, Trevor Lawrence was a great quarterback himself, but so was Etienne was, I think, the stud of that offense. And, it's going to be a change for them as well. And like you said, they still have talent, but it's going to be a transition year, I think. They still may win, 10, 11 games because that conference kind of right now is kind of weak still. North Carolina's getting better. And like you said, Miami, but other than that, Florida State's still kind of down. Georgia Tech, he's still trying to get all his players in, but the ACC is still Clemson's to lose.
Yeah, they're going to do a lot of great stuff this year for sure. North Carolina is also the team to watch this year. They could slip up. They could get somebody. All right, Jake Thomas from Alabama doing his preview thing. You want to pimp your podcast and everything before we go?
Yeah, man. Follow Tide Talk Sports on Twitter. We try to put out some kind of video talking about Alabama athletics once a week. The schedules, don't work out too well, but we try to get content out daily through Twitter. So follow us there. You can follow me at Jake Thomas TTS.
All right. Thanks, Jake, for stopping by. Our Alabama preview. Hopefully we can come back and do it again once we get closer to the game.
We need to do one, a preview of the Alabama Ole Miss game for sure. That'd be fun.
Yeah, and if you need me to come on, just let me know. I'm more
absolutely.
Happy to
we'll do it, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
All right, Jake Thomas, Alabama. Hotty toddy.
Roll Tide.